Hello, everyone. My name is Pianpian. I'm the founder and CEO of Amotions. Amotions is a platform to help you and your team grow and be successful and help you master soft skills such as emotional intelligence, leadership skills, interpersonal skills. We're very happy here to have Lauren. Lauren is a certified professional coach. She has coached multiple leaders in various organizations, including Women in Product and other organizations. And she has also done a very popular TED Talk and has got millions of views. She has coached people on self-transformation as well as in communication and public speaking. Lauren, is there anything else you would like to add to your self-introduction?
That was great. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time. And thanks everyone for joining the session today. Well, we collected some questions earlier, so I'm going to start. Lauren, can you tell us a little bit more about like what is self-coaching and why that is important?
Yeah, I have some slides that I thought I'd shared that I thought would be helpful for context. So really, there's three main areas in our life that tend to impact us the most. So our work, our relationships with others, and then our self-care. So Gomathi, you were saying this, right? It's like we have work and we have kids. I mean, all of you were saying, right? We have work and we have kids, and then there's ourself. Like, do we actually feel nourished? And are we pouring from an empty cup? And essentially in each of these areas, we really just want two things, which is a certain level of external achievement, but also what's the point of that if we're not feeling fulfilled, if we don't feel good about it? And so I find for myself and others, we tend to find ourselves in one of four places. So first, either we have low achievement and low fulfillment. So for me, I had some lost years after college. I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. So wasn't really achieving a lot and wasn't feeling that good about it. Then I ended up in law school. I was at Stanford Law School, had an offer to work at a law firm. So you could say I was achieving a lot, but I wasn't very fulfilled. That was not a good fit for me. And a lot of us find ourselves in careers that we're not very happy, right? It's a lot of effort and energy to show up to work each day. Or I'd even put myself here when I found coaching. I'm teaching at Stanford Business School, which I loved, but I had so much anxiety, so much imposter syndrome that I couldn't really relax and enjoy it. So that's that bucket. Then there's high fulfillment, but low achievement. So this is when I found coaching. I'm like, this is great, but I hadn't really built up my work and my practice yet. Often we find ourselves here when we switch careers or we're trying something new. Before I move to the fourth bucket, we also can do this in our relationships, right? It's like you're not in a relationship or not fulfilled, or a relationship that looks good but doesn't feel that good, or self-care routine where you're like up at 5 and pushing hard, but you don't feel that nourished. Or like the sweet spot is high achievement and high fulfillment. So I love my work and I'm achieving so much. Same with my romantic relationships or family, my self-care, all the things I'm doing I'm doing a lot, and it's also nourishing and life-giving to me. So that is the ideal, but I found for myself for a long time, and most people that I work with were not in that bucket. So I'm curious to hear from you all. Where would you say are you looking for more achievement or fulfillment? And in what areas? Does work feel fulfilling, or sounds like I'm guessing self-care for a lot of you maybe isn't where you'd like it? Or Pianpian, I'd be curious to hear from you.
I would like to go for high achievement and high fulfillment if it's possible.
In all of them. Yeah. Anyone else? Kind of an area where that stands out to you?
Someone say high fulfillment sounds great.
Yeah, and it's funny, that often suffers, it's like I work with a lot of men and women who have these careers that look so good on the outside, and they're like, I'm not fulfilled, right? I'm anxious, I have imposter syndrome, or it's not work that I love. When I was in law, that wasn't for me. So how can we move to that top right? So essentially our outer world reflects our inner world. So first, if we think about our emotions, if I'm feeling afraid or anxious, I'm going to make very different decisions than if I'm feeling bold and empowered. If I'm thinking I can't take time for myself, or I shouldn't do this, or I'm not good enough, again, I'll make different choices, or I won't show up as powerful and confident. Or if my body's in a state of stress, again, all of that's impacting how we show up. So ideally, self-coaching is noticing when your thoughts or emotions are limiting and depleting you, and then moving yourself to a place that's more nourishing and fueling. So when you're in fear, how do you get to calm or courage or confidence? When I'm thinking I can't do this or I shouldn't, how do I get to I can do this, I'm capable, this is in my best interest? So obviously you can have a coach that you hire to work with and do this. But my goal for people, I'm always happy to work with folks one-on-one and in group workshops, but my goal is to give you these tools for yourself so that you can intercept yourself in these moments and put yourself on a different path. Because generally we're okay, but we're not really next leveling ourselves in what we're really capable of. I know back, 10 years ago, I never would have thought I could have had a TED Talk with that many views, or have a career that I love this much and work with the clients that I work with. It was only when I started thinking differently and working with my emotions differently was I able to start changing my reality. So I'll stop there for now. Any follow-ups to that around self-coaching?
So what are the ways that someone can actually do self-coaching, and what are the tools people can coach themselves?
Yeah, I'll say two things. So first, I coach clients. I also work with my family a lot. I like using my mother as an example, but she had a job. She was pretty unhappy and unfulfilled, but she kept thinking, oh, I'm too old now. I'm too old to get another job. Or she would think, oh, other people are more qualified than I am. And then she also had a third belief, I'm not good at interviews. She felt like she would ramble and she, she'd go for 20 minutes and get really nervous. So for, years, she was in this job that she was pretty unhappy with. It was pretty depleting. And so first working with her with her thoughts, right? So normally we notice when we're not feeling good about something. So notice your emotions and then ask yourself, okay, well, what are the thoughts associated with these emotions? And so the thoughts could be, so she's like, okay, I'm not feeling good. I'm unfulfilled. My thoughts are, I'm too old. I'm not qualified enough. And I'm not good at interviews. So then we go through each one. It's a practice reflective inquiry where we really start to work with each thought. Well, is it really true that she's too old, right? Well, there's lots of other people in their 60s and 70s that get new jobs. The leaders of our country, right, have been in their 70s. Clearly, they're not too old. She could also look at it as she has 20 years of experience in fundraising. So so flipping those around, then saying there's other people that are more qualified. If she looked at her background, she's fundraised from really amazing people. She has a lot of credibility. So I got her thinking, who's more qualified than I am? And then lastly, interviews, maybe we don't have a skill or strength yet, but then the question rather is I'm not or I can't, is how could I, right? So for her, how could I become better at interviews? So she has a daughter who's a coach. So we work together. I really coached her to be really compelling in her interviews. Fast forward 6 months, she got a new job. She went through 10 rounds of interviews to get it. She's much happier, achieving a lot more. But it was never her capability, right? For years, she stayed in that place. It was only when she was able to acknowledge, I'm not feeling good, I want to change. Notice the thoughts that were blocking her, because we have a desire, but then we have a block. So we really have to work with that block. And then once we're able to do that, we can start making different choices and showing up differently. So she had me, but the goal is, okay, for yourself, how can you notice those moments, catch yourself, and then start asking yourself those questions?